8:45, this is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by J. Yogaraj, read by Saudi Thavam. The President to deliver a special statement tomorrow. A special meeting was held this afternoon between the President and the visiting Deputy Managing Director of the IMF, Kenji Okamura. The meeting was held in Colombo. The Prime Minister held a cordial discussion with the Prime Minister of Thailand, General Prayut van Ocha, today in Thailand. Sri Lanka's key inflation rate eases to 25.2% in May. The CBSL warns the general public of pyramid-type schemes operating in Sri Lanka. The government refutes accusations over funding for the POSON program. The Energy Minister discusses restructuring of the CEB with the World Bank and the IMF. News overseas, Air New Zealand weighing passengers before flying. In sports, French Open 2023, Novak Djokovic criticised for message about Kosovo after first round win. President Ranil Wickremesinghe will deliver a special statement addressing the government's efforts over the past 9 months to revive Sri Lanka's economy, as well as outlining the forthcoming stages of the country's social, economic and political reform agenda. This special statement is scheduled to be broadcast tomorrow at 8 p.m. across all television, radio and digital media platforms throughout the country, ensuring that the entire public is informed and comprehends the message. The objective is to provide the public with a comprehensive understanding of Sri Lanka's national transformation roadmap and to present the proposed strategies for accomplishing the envisioned objectives. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena held a cordial discussion with the Prime Minister of Thailand, General Prayut van Ocha, today. The discussion was held at the Prime Minister's office in Thailand's capital, Bangkok. The meeting focused on strengthening the bilateral ties of the two countries. The discussion also focused on strengthening trade and religious ties of the two countries. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka says it has conducted investigations into several institutions to ascertain whether they have conducted schemes prohibited in terms of the Banking Act based on some complaints received by the CBL. In relation to the examination conducted under Section 83C of the Banking Act No. 30 of 1988, the CBSL has determined that a few entities have conducted prohibited schemes in contravention of the provisions of Section 83C of the said Act. The relevant entities are Tians Lanka Healthcare Private Limited, Best Life International Private Limited, Global Lifestyle Lanka Private Limited, Mark War International Private Limited, VML International Private Limited, Fast 3 Cycle International Private Limited F3C, Sport Chain App Sports Chain ZS Society Sri Lanka, and Onmax DT. Accordingly, the CBSL warned that any person who directly or indirectly initiates, offer, promote, advertise, conduct, finance, manage, or direct a prohibited type of pyramid scheme in contravention of the provisions of the Banking Act shall be punishable offence such as imprisonment for a period not exceeding 3 years or a fine not exceeding 1 million rupees or both imprisonment and fine. The government has refuted recent allegations made pertaining to the lack of funding towards the Anuradhapura POSON program, stating that 28.8 million rupees has already been granted for this purpose. Accordingly, 2 ministries and 1 department have, thus far, contributed a sum of 28.8 million for the Anuradhapura POSON program this year, the President's Media Division reported. They further noted the allocation made by the Ministry of Buddha Sasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs for the POSON Mihintala Perahera this year was the highest since 2019. Accusations have been made by various parties claiming that the government will not contribute to the State POSON Festival in 2023, particularly the POSON programs centered around the Mihintala sacred site. This information was gathered through multiple sources, including the Ministry of Buddha Sasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs, the Ministry of Public Administration, Home Affairs, Provincial Councils and Local Government, the Ministry of Defence, Sri Lanka Police, Anuradhapura District Secretariat, the Ministry of Water Supply and Estate Infrastructure Development, and Associated Newspapers Ceylon Limited. The chief monk of the Mihintala Rajamahaviharaya forwarded an estimated sum of 17 million rupees to the Secretary of the Ministry of Buddha Sasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs, specially for the Mihintala POSON Perahera. However, the Ministry's Secretary, Mr. Somaratna Vidanapathirana, responded that allocating such a large sum of money is not possible within the financial regulations imposed by Parliament. Instead, the Minister of Buddhasasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs have approved a sum of 3.1 million rupees from its budget head allocations for the 2023 National Possum Festival. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Sri Lanka's key inflation rate eased to 25.3% in May from 35.3% in April, the Statistics Department said on Wednesday, reducing some stress on the crisis-hit economy. Soaring inflation has battered the economy for more than a year after a severe foreign exchange crisis set off the Indian Ocean Islands' worst financial crisis in 7 decades. The Colombo Consumer Price Index reflected a reduction in food inflation to 21.5% in May from 30.6% in April, while non-food inflation reached 27%, the Census and Statistics Department said in a statement. Court, coming off a high base, is helping Sri Lanka's inflation reduce rapidly, and we expect this to continue in the coming months, unquote, said Dimantha Matthew, head of the research at First Capital. Court, Sri Lanka is back on track to hit the single-digit inflation by September, or perhaps even a bit earlier, unquote. Easing inflation is also likely to prompt the central bank to keep its policy rates unchanged. The Minister of Mass Media, Transport and Highways, Dr. Bandula Gunawardena, said any project could be suspended easily, but it is difficult to restart a suspended project. The Minister expressed confidence that the President's Japan visit will help to resume the stalled projects funded by the Japanese government. This will provide an opportunity to restart many mega projects for the benefit of the common masses of this country, the Minister added. The projects were earlier suspended due to wrong advice given to the former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. The Minister of Power and Energy, Kanchana Wijesekara, yesterday held a meeting online with the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank and the Ceylon Electricity Board. The meeting in question focused on the restructuring of the balance sheets of the CEB in line with Sri Lanka's commitment towards the IMF program. As per the said commitment, a plan to restructure the balance sheets of the CEB is anticipated by the end of June, Minister Wijesekara said in a Twitter statement. Accordingly, the World Bank experts will work with both the CEB and the IMF, providing them with advice on the options available for the restructuring process, including that of existing project loans, payments due to the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation CPC, renewable developers, independent power producers, IPPs, and other suppliers, working capital loans obtained from state banks, other loans obtained, recovery of losses for 2023, and the business plans of the CEB. That concludes local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
A special meeting was held this afternoon between the President, Ranil Wickremesinghe, and the Deputy Managing Director of the IMF, Kenji Okamura. The meeting was held in Colombo. The Deputy MD of the IMF is in Sri Lanka for a 2-day visit to oversee the progress of the IMF-supported Extended Fund Facility. The meeting was focused on the work plan implemented by the Sri Lankan government with the support of the first tranche of the IMF loan facility. Meanwhile, the Deputy MD of the IMF also met Justice Minister Vijayadasa Rajapaksa this evening at his ministry. The meeting focused on the establishment of the rule of law and effective measures taken to empower underprivileged people due to the economic crisis, and came to you in the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
On to Watchlight, there has been a significant increase in the dengue cases reported within the last couple of months. Dr. Ananda Vijayavikrama says that there is a risk of the dengue epidemic with the coming monsoon. He also mentioned that 60 to 70 patients come to the IDH hospital for treatment every day and that the number is growing rapidly. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena informed the governors to intervene with all authorities and take necessary measures to prevent the spread of dengue. In a discussion held recently, the Prime Minister gave these instructions and said that it is necessary to continue the ongoing disease control programs through the Regional Health Medical Officer's Office. That came to you in Watchlight, and moving on to a bulletin of world news, making headlines tonight. James Webb Telescope eyes the moon Enceladus spews massive water plume. Air New Zealand weighing passengers before flying. And North Korea says spy satellite launched crash into sea. Into the details, astronomers have detected a huge plume of water vapor spurting out into space from Enceladus, an icy moon of Saturn. The 504-kilometer wide moon is well known for its geysers, but this is a particularly big one. The water stream spans some 9,600 kilometers, a distance equivalent to that of flying from the UK to Japan. Air New Zealand is weighing passengers before they board international flights as part of a survey to determine average passenger weight. The weight will be anonymously recorded in a database but not be visible to airline staff or other passengers, the firm said. Air New Zealand said knowing average passenger weight would improve fuel efficiency in the future. Participation in the survey is voluntary, the airline added. North Korea has said an accident happened as it planned to send up its first space satellite, causing it to crash into the sea. Pyongyang announced earlier it plans to launch a satellite by 11th June to monitor U.S. military activities. It now says it will attempt a second launch as soon as possible. The launch sparked a false alarm in the South Korean capital Seoul, while in Japan a warning was issued to residents of Okinawa in the south. That concludes this bulletin of world news.
Development News.
A special discussion between the Turkish ambassador and the Minister of Ports, Shipping and Aviation, Iman Siripala de Silva, took place yesterday at the Ministry office. The aim of the discussion was to seek authorization to commence direct flights from the Turkish capital, Istanbul, to Katunayke. The chief of the Turkish Airlines South Asia office, Fatih Bozkurt, was also present during the discussion. Currently, Turkish Airlines connects with Sri Lanka through a route that includes a stopover in the Maldives, resulting in an additional travel time of 1.5 hours. The delay caused by this routing is not favoured by travellers, as emphasised by the ambassador, and came to you in Development News. On to sports, it's tennis. Novak Djokovic's political message about Kosovo at the French Open was not appropriate and shouldn't happen again, says France's sports minister. Amélie Oudéa-Castéra said there needs to be a principle of neutrality for the field of play. Serb Djokovic wrote, "Kosovo is the heart of Serbia. Stop the violence," on a camera lens. It is in reference to recent tension in Kosovo, which declared independence from Serbia in 2008. That came to you in sports news. Business news up next.
Go ekaktiana youth ekata life eke change ekata niyameta setna aswagena dagpuhina habe karana youth ekata niyameta setna friendship ekamenna.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The People's Bank reported a total consolidated operating profit and pre-tax profit amounting to 24 billion rupees and 7.2 billion rupees respectively for quarter 1 2022, 46.2 billion rupees and 11 billion rupees for its quarter ended March 31st, 2023. That came to you in Business News. Economic news up next.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekaktiana youth ekata life eke change ekata niyameta setna aswagena dagpuhina habe karana youth ekata niyameta setna friendship ekamenna.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Economic News, courtesy of... For the 5th consecutive year, LOLC is awarded People's Financial Services Brand of the Year at the 2022 Slim Kantar People's Awards. As the People's Financial Services Brand of the Year, LOLC continues to place the customer first, and this has won the hearts, minds and trust of Sri Lankans, with yet another prestigious award as proof of this lasting commitment. LOLC, imagine the possibilities.
The Asian Development Bank, ADB, has agreed to provide a special policy-based loan, SPBL, of $350 million for Sri Lanka's economic stabilization and strengthening governance. The program is aligned with the government plans of economic reforms and recovery. The relevant loan agreement for the SPBL for Economic Stabilization Program was signed by K.M. Mahinda Sirivatana, Secretary, Ministry of Finance, Economic Stabilization and National Policies, and Utsav Kumar, Deputy Country Director, ADB Resident Mission, on Monday on behalf of the Government of Sri Lanka and the ADB respectively, and came to you in Economic News.
LOLC Finance is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 5 golds at the Technovation Awards 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LOLC Finance claims the overall gold award, whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking. LOLC Finance will continue to innovate with the next generation digitalization of financial services, delivering a superior customer experience.
Weather report.
The Met Department says that showers or thundershowers will occur at times in the Western Province and in the Galle and Martara districts. Showers or thundershowers will occur in the Sabragama, Central, Uva and Eastern provinces during the evening or night. Fairly heavy showers above 50 millimeters are likely at some places in the Uva province. The general public is kindly requested to take adequate precaution to minimize damage caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers. This weather report was published this evening at 7:30 p.m. Further details could be obtained by visiting the official website of the department. To conclude this bulletin of news, a recap of the headlines. The President to deliver a special statement tomorrow. A special meeting was held this afternoon between the President and the visiting Deputy Managing Director of the IMF, Kenji Okumura. The meeting was held in Colombo. The Prime Minister held a cordial discussion with the Prime Minister of Thailand, General Prayut Van Ocha, today in Thailand. Sri Lanka's key inflation rate eases to 25.2% in May. The CBSL warns the general public of pyramid-type schemes operating in Sri Lanka. The government refutes accusations over the funding for the POSON program. The Energy Minister discusses restructuring of the CEB with the World Bank and the IMF. Air New Zealand weighing passengers before flying. French Open 2023, Novak Djokovic criticized for message about Kosovo after first round win. That concludes tonight's news broadcast.